Surrender! What have you done?
I'm sorry.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank. So, Doctor Who's back. Yes, Season 2 of the Shurigatwa R2-D2 era. Yes, and we're back with Robot Revolution. I didn't like this episode. I really didn't. Um, to be fair, I think the premise is, sound. A great way to reintroduce a new companion. It goes through all the necessary hoops, I think, to get me to care about Belinda. I think I want to be very clear about that. But there's also some issues I have with just how this story is told. It feels like it is just sort of rushing through it. So our story starts off with a flashback to 17 years earlier, where I'm guessing a teenage Belinda is given a star certificate. In other words, her then boyfriend decides to have a star named after her. Like, okay, that's sweet. I'm not sure how much that cost, but there's also like this weird line, and it's an important line. Turns out it was an important line, but as soon as I heard it, I'm like, okay, like girls aren't interested in math. I'm like, okay. These two aren't going to work. Then we cut to 17 years later, and she's a nurse. I'm like, okay, cool, cool. We haven't had a companion that was in the medical field for a while. Rory, and before that, Martha. Rosebud doesn't matter. What I liked about Belinda in setup is that she is an older person. All right, no more teenagers. All right, no more like, oh, I'm like 18 now. Like, okay, okay. Get some people who've actually lived a bit of life. But granted, with say Ruby, as someone who grew up as a foundling, she does have an interesting story, a bit more interesting than Rose's, but whatever. Simplicity was Rose's strength when she was introduced. Then a bunch of robots come in, all right? And they come in looking for Miss Belinda. They say her whole name because it's what's on the star certificate. Apparently, the star that she was named after is a thriving planet, all right? And the robots are the overlords, all right? And this whole time, the doctor is looking for Belinda. All right. And I'm like, okay, okay, that's interesting. But then again, this was also how the doctor handled Ruby. Like, he's looking for Ruby or trying to figure out what's up with Ruby. Oh, Mrs. Flood shows up here because she's important. And if I know Russell, she won't be important. Right? Because this era of Russell just is. We need to have a conversation about Russell. But anyway. Um, the doctor is not able to get to her in time. Midway through that, Belinda is complaining about who gave her the star, named the star after her, Al, or Alvin, and that creates a sort of distortion in time, or fluctuant or swoop as it's called, and pretty much the doctor doesn't get to her in time or whatever. And when she's there, it turns out she used to be the queen, and the doctor is able to save her with a group of freedom fighters who don't like the robots. It turns out on this planet, robots and humans, or Miss Belinda, Miss Belinda people, because apparently that happened. Like they're aware that their planet has a name, but well, I get why. I get why. They'll explain that later. So anyway, Belinda is to marry the AI, all right, which is apparently the master control program. And I'm trying to figure out why. Apparently this will fix everything. I don't quite get it. And the Doctor has sort of integrated himself into the Freedom Fighters and has found a way to save Belinda along with the help of Sasha 55, who is apparently going to be the Doctor's companion. But she's killed. Because as soon as she said it, I think everyone knew, oh, she's going to die, which I think was a terrible mistake. I think it would have been interesting if we had had this season start off with the Doctor already having a new companion that we don't know about. All right? I think that would have been more fun. But of course, because of this, the Doctor gets to cry. And here's the thing. I don't mind the Doctor crying. I think it can work. The 10th Doctor cried. The 11th Doctor cried. Did 12 cry? Did 12 cry? He probably did. But the problem is, this Doctor cries a lot, and it sort of poisons the well a bit. Because that means if he cries just about everything, there's nothing special about when he does cry. I had the same critique about the 10th Doctor, but that felt more like a like, oh, here he is, he's gonna cry soon. But he usually only saves crying for when he lost his companion. I think that works a bit better here. But pretty much any time this doctor suffers any sort of loss and starts crying, that's not the only way to show grief, and that's my other issue with it. It's like, oh, well, they should be in touch with their feelings, but there are other ways to process their feelings. He's allowed to be mad. He's allowed to just want to not talk about it right now. Or he's allowed to scream. If he wants to throw things, sure. When the 12th Doctor, I'm going off a tangent here, but shut up. We're going on. When the 12th Doctor finds out that Missy lied about where Gallifrey is, he doesn't cry, he doesn't scream. Instead, he just starts beating the TARDIS console. I think that's fine. But anyway, so when she gets sick, when the doctor saves Belinda and Sasha dies, there's this other freedom fighter who I guess is supposed to be the head freedom fighter, Manny, who keeps blaming Belinda. This is all your fault, Belinda. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, if the idea is the people that have died are a fault of hers, sure. But nothing really spends, this story doesn't spend much time on that. The whole point is Belinda's now guilted into this after another incident happens to like, okay, I need to tell them where I am. So, I'll go off. And she doesn't have a plan. It's like, fine, I'll surrender myself and no one else will die. She doesn't know that. Effectively, we're just trying to move the story to the point because the big reveal here is about the AI, the Master Control Program. So a fun little trick here, and I actually think a very clever bit, is that the robots can only understand every 8 words. Word number 9, for some reason, they can't hear. And this is how the doctor is able to talk to Belinda and save her the first time. Then by hearing it, they find out, oh, he's this actually isn't an AI. It's Alvin. In other words, the person who gave her the star in the first place. So apparently, when Belinda was being sent to the planet, and she said, "Hey, go get Al." She's pretty much just complaining. She didn't mean they should go get Al. They did go get Al. That's what created the time problem. They went back and took Al, and Al thinks this is a video game, and he gets hooked up to the basically the central control program for the robots, and becomes a dick. Um, he thinks it's a video game, and he's stopping the rebels. It's weird because usually in these games the robots are the bad guys, but whatever. This is just whatever. So anyway, it turns out she has to remember why she broke up with Al in the first place. Turns out Al was a controlling dick. Like he proposed that night. I'm like, actually, you know what? That was sweet. That was like, you named a star after her, and you want to take it to the next level. You're like, okay, I want you to wear less makeup. I want you to stop texting past 8 p.m. I'm like, oh, he's a dick, or he's a controlling dick. But as it's called here, an incel, and voluntarily celibate. Um, I didn't think we knew that about Al, but doesn't surprise me. A lot of this episode feels like, or a lot of the ideas here have already been done before. Um, Russell already had two characters that sort of fit this mold here in terms of Al. There is, what was it, Brandon? The dude from Dalek that went with Rose and the Doctor and got the eye implant and became a big villain in a multi-Doctor comic. Him. Was it Brian? Was it Brian? And the kid in charge of Atmos and the Centauran stratagem Poison Sky. This sort of incel-like behavior has already been there. So it also doesn't give us anything new with the villain. What's weird is that this episode tends to try to frame him first as a victim, because he didn't want to be here. All right, he finds out that it hurts to be in this machine. So in other words, being in this machine has sort of warped his mind, and he's doing all this to try to get them to end the suffering, end his pain. But then it's sort of his death is treated as a joke. Like, oh yeah, he's a dick. He's done all this, yeah, but he didn't want to be here. Like Belinda accidentally, specifically accidentally, got him kidnapped, and she feels sorry at first, but then it's like he forgets that this is what he wants and goes from there. It's like you couldn't be two things. Like Al couldn't be a dick person and also a legitimate victim because even when he dies, they're laughing about it, like, oh, he's a sperm floating around, and they just laugh. I'm like, am I supposed to root for this? This is just bad. And and here's the thing: the premise here is not that unique. Doctor Who's done robots before. The fourth Doctor's first episode is called Robot. Um, they felt like Santarans, really. Like they felt not really like Santarans, which might be saying more about the Santarans than them. There's robots of Sherwood. There's the robots in what was it, Bad Wolf? Well, when the yeah, Bad Wolf. Let's see here. There are robots. Technically, the Clockworks in the Girl in the Fireplace are robots. Actually, there's no technically; those are robots. Um, I had a whole list of. There's Robophobia, a Seventh Doctor audio, which is actually a really good audio. Um, and a couple of others. But here's the thing: nothing here is interested that new. But then again, nothing has to be that new for this to work. A good story is a good story. This honestly isn't a good story for me. Belinda, I think, is great. She's, as a nurse, she's had to sort of take charge. A lot of note here about how hard nurses work compared to doctors. Is that true? Is that not? You'd have to ask. Like, my mom's a nurse. I tend to not as like nurses do the sort of grunt work. All right. The doctors will come in, they'll perform the surgery, they'll recommend the treatment. The nurse's job is to make sure that you sort of get from point A to point B. And that can be difficult. All right. We're not just talking about changing beds, we're talking about really making connections with the patients, finding out, making sure they take their medicine and all that. It's a hard, hard job, in case my mom watches this. But it is a hard job, make no mistake. But I also like the moment when Belinda helps the guy with his dislocated shoulder, and the fact that it is all of this sort of chaos and death that motivates her to sacrifice herself. I think that is good, honestly. But everything else surrounding this is not interesting. Also, the mystery about who Belinda is or will become. So Belinda is looks a lot like someone that the Doctor met in what was it, Boom? Yeah, Boom, Boom. When the Doctor steps on that mine, and I'm like, okay, did we have to connect those two? Like, the reality is that Belinda's actor played both of those characters, and Russell has to make that a story point. Although, if we recall Russell's last time, there was a big mystery. It turned out to not be a mystery. Is it really that surprising that, say, the Doctor would meet a descendant of someone he'll later meet? He travels through all of time and space. Is it really a coincidence? Also, I didn't think she was that interesting a person that this was an issue. Belinda herself feels like a better take on Martha Jones, or at worst, a weird fusion of Martha and Donna. Also pointing out that in regards to Martha, Martha was the Doctor's second companion of the revival, also a woman of color, also in the medical field. I also found it a bit stupid that Russell wanted to go the route of, well, I can't just take her home. Something has to stop her from getting home. Russell seems to have forgotten, despite the fact that he loves Tegan so much, that the Doctor can sometimes just not get them there. I mean, Tegan wanted to go home from the get go, but the Doctor could never get her to Heathrow Airport, the largest airport in England, as was said in the Doctor Who audio, which was really fun. Did I enjoy this? I think I already said I didn't. I didn't. I think it rushes itself too fast. It wants to do a lot of setup with Belinda, and then do this whole world, and then do this big reveal, but there's not enough time to really soak it in. Manny's just there to guilt Belinda into sacrificing herself. There's no real talk about exactly what any of these people go through or the world itself. So it just sort of feels like a backdrop. Not that interesting. I expect better from Russell. All right. This is more indicative of sort of something I'd expect from the Chibnall era, really. Um, so yeah, I am very disappointed in this. It's possibly my least favorite first episode of a new season. Let's see here, Smith and Jones, I liked. 11th Hour, I love 11th Hour. Um, the Possible Astronaut, I love the Possible Astronaut. Um, Pilot, love Pilot. Uh, yeah, yeah, actually, yeah, yeah. Even the Whittaker era, Woman Who Fell to Earth, I like the Woman Who Fell to Earth. Um, what was her first episode with Dad? Wasn't Flux? Spyfall. Everyone likes Spyfall. Um, what's after Spyfall? What's after Spyfall? Something Halloween? Was it something Halloween? I have to do a 13th Doctor retrospective. Why don't I know this? Anyway, I'm sure some people did like this episode. And as I always say, good on you. I'm glad you enjoyed this. I didn't. I think the incel joke could have been done better or just not at all? Why not just have the whole episode be that Al doesn't want to admit, hey, I was a problem in this relationship? Instead, it looks like a generic white guy school shooter. Like, oh, he's playing shooting games. Oh, he likes to shoot people. As soon as he gets power, he's a dick. I'm like, all right, this is like a parody of a white male power fantasy. Okay. I didn't realize we were still in Gamergate. No, I've just outed myself. Here's the thing. Here is the thing. I don't mind Al being a dick. I don't mind the fact that if you're going to set up that I'm supposed to feel bad for him, to then go, oh, well, he was a bad boyfriend. I'm like, did he hit her? Did he cheat on her? Turns out they want different things. Vastly different things. Al is a dick. But in terms of how terrible some Doctor Who people are in the show, he's pretty by the books. Actually, not even by the books, he's pretty tame. Oh, we don't want to date him. Fine. Don't. Belinda didn't. All right, half the time, like Al wants Belinda, sure, but she's the one that dragged him into this. Unintentionally, yes. This whole episode is about making sure that Belinda is guiltless for what happens. In other words, Russell wanted to kill Al, but wanted to make sure Belinda had nothing to do with it. All right, Belinda's hands were clean. I don't care about the mystery as to why they can't go back to Earth. Turns out it's blown up. I'm spoiling so much this episode, and I don't care because I don't like this episode. This episode is kind of terrible. I expect all of you in the comment section to either agree with me blindly, like the champs I know you are, or have a very well thought out discourse as to why I'm wrong, which I will read, or just tell me I'm wrong. I'll read that too, but I just won't particularly care. So anyway, I think I'm rambling. I think I want to because I had to like dig this out of the closet. It was neatly hung up, by the way. I forgot to even take the tag off this thing. But anyway, with that in mind, let's bring us to a close here. If you are new to the Bug of Think Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. I'll catch you all later. This is the Bug of Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well.